Long ago, God spoke to a prophet named Jonah. God told him, "Go to the great city of Nineveh and warn its people to turn away from their evil ways." But Jonah did not obey God. Instead of traveling to Nineveh, he chose to run away. He went to the port and boarded a ship sailing in the opposite direction. Jonah paid the fare and climbed aboard the ship. As the vessel left the harbor and sailed across the sea, he hoped to escape from the Lord's command. Then the Lord sent a powerful storm upon the sea. Fierce winds howled, towering waves crashed against the ship, and everyone on board feared they would perish. The terrified sailors cried out to their gods and threw the ship's cargo into the sea to make it lighter. Meanwhile, Jonah had gone below deck and fallen into a deep sleep. The captain found Jonah asleep below deck and said, "How can you sleep? Get up and call on your God. Maybe he will have mercy on us so that we will not perish." The sailors decided to cast lots to discover who had brought this terrible storm upon them. When they cast the lot fell on Jonah. They asked him, "Who are you? And why has this disaster come upon us?" Jonah answered, "I am a Hebrew, and I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." Then he admitted that he was running away from the Lord. The sailors became even more afraid. The sailors asked, "What should we do to make the sea calm?" Jonah replied, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea. Then the storm will become calm, for I know this great tempest has come because of me." The sailors tried to row back to shore, but the storm grew even stronger. So they prayed to the Lord for mercy. Then, with great sorrow, they lifted Jonah and threw him into the raging sea. The moment Jonah entered the sea, the storm became calm. Then the Lord appointed a great fish to swallow Jonah. Inside the great fish, Jonah remained alive for 3 days and 3 nights. From inside the great fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord. He cried out in his distress, confessed his disobedience, and thanked God for hearing his prayer. Jonah promised that he would obey the Lord. After 3 days and 3 nights, the Lord commanded the great fish, and it spit Jonah out onto dry land. God had given Jonah a second chance. Then the word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time. "Go to the great city of Nineveh and proclaim the message I give you." This time, Jonah obeyed the Lord. Jonah entered the great city of Nineveh and proclaimed God's message. 40 more days, and Nineveh will be overthrown. The people stopped and listened to his warning. The people of Nineveh believed God's message. From the greatest to the least, they humbled themselves, fasted, and turned away from their evil ways. Even the king stepped down from his throne, put on sackcloth, and called the whole city to repent. God saw that the people of Nineveh had turned away from their evil ways. Because they truly repented, he showed them mercy, and did not bring the destruction he had warned about. But Jonah was not pleased that God had spared Nineveh. He became angry and prayed, "Lord, I knew you were a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger and full of mercy." To teach Jonah a lesson, the Lord caused a leafy plant to grow over him, giving him shade from the scorching sun. Jonah was very happy because of the plant. The next morning, God appointed a worm to attack the plant, and it withered. Then a scorching east wind blew, and the hot sun beat down on Jonah's head. Once again, Jonah became discouraged. Then the Lord said, "You have been concerned about this plant, though you did not make it grow. Should I not also care about the great city of Nineveh, where more than 120,000 people live? God's mercy and compassion are greater than we can imagine."